Hi there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Whole Home Show. I'm Tony Joe, your host every week, bringing you tips, education, and updates on home-related matters. Whether you're in the real estate market or if you're looking for decorating or improvement ideas for your home, this is the place to be. Our show comes to you with the support of our show partners, Denise Webster, mortgage broker with Dominion Lending Center's Modern Mortgage Group, JP Sellas, insurance advisor with Westland Insurance, operating as Island Savings Insurance, the Sitka Law Group for your real estate, wills and estates, corporate and personal injury needs, and Shoreline Inspections with Reese Jacob and Monica Gass. And of course, there's me. I've been selling real estate here in Victoria since 1991. I'd be pleased to help you too. So if you need help or direction in your real estate transaction, give us, the Whole Home Show team members, a call. We'd love to hear from you. Real estate is a business and a career like no other. From the outside, it may seem glamorous with fancy cars and nice clothes, basically what you see on TV. But there are countless untold stories about the struggles agents go through on a daily basis. Some things you won't even believe until now. I've compiled a number of stories from my colleagues across the country, an anthology, if you will, of creepy, strange, odd, and often hilariously funny real-life stories. Today is one of several episodes I've compiled to entertain you. Sometimes we just all need a good laugh. We'll go straight to the stories today, but if you have a question or a story to tell us about real estate, call our hotline, 250-414-6540, or visit us on cfax1070.com, and we'll discuss it on a future episode. Let's get right into it. So our next guest now is hailing from Hamilton, Ontario. It is my friend Tony Iacoviello with Remax. Tony, thanks for joining us.
No, thanks for having me on. I'm coming from Hamilton, the absolute center of the awesomeness of the world.
It is. It's where the GTA is growing out to. So Toronto has expanded. Everyone's moving to Hamilton, right?
Yeah. We're in that 1 hour radius from Toronto, so everybody can move out here, and the prices are basically half. Yeah. So we get a lot of that migration happening for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, for us in Victoria, it's kind of like the West Shore, so that's our expansion area. Mm-hmm. I've spent some time over there. I know you really well as well, too. We were hanging out together not long ago in Niagara Falls, which is just 40 minutes away from you, right?
Yeah, haunted housing.
Haunted housing, that's right. Okay, you've got a story to tell us. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, you're asking for funny stories in real estate. So the funniest one I usually tell people when they ask me, or strangest one, is when I got contacted by someone and requested that I show up at a naked listing appointment.
Okay. Well, hold on a second. So they wanted you to be naked as you talk business with them.
Yeah, they did. It was an interesting, it didn't start out that way. Like the gentleman locally here to where I am in Bimbrook. He doesn't live here anymore. Yeah. So I won't reveal any names or anything, but he contacted me because he's a younger guy. Yep. Probably in his early 30s, just broken up with his girlfriend, so needed to sell their property because he wanted to move back to Toronto way.
Okay, it's a typical story.
So far, pretty standard. But then he, somewhere in this chain of emails that was going back and forth, he decided to tell me the story about how he was now a naturist. Okay. And, would feel very comfortable. It would make him trust me more if we could both shed our clothing and, just be there together naked while I evaluated his property for him.
Okay. So he felt more comfortable in this manner. And I'm sorry, this was by email in advance, right?
Yeah, he was contacting me, and I found out much later on that I wasn't the only one at my brokerage that he had been contacting. Okay. There's a number of other gentleman agents that all kind of had the same profile, bearded, kind of my age sort of thing. Yeah. But he contacted us back and forth by email. The emails got longer and longer and longer as they went along.
So now thinking ahead here, you went to this appointment, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you of course walk in the door, you get greeted, everything's normal, right?
Yeah, I walk in, he's wearing the shorts and a t-shirt. It was summertime. Yep. Prior to going, I gave my broker a quick little call and said, I hope you understand the lengths I would go to help make you money. And if I need help in like an hour, you don't hear from me, here's where I am, just in case. Oh. But we walked in. Yeah, I walked into the property. A guy's there, shorts and t-shirt, just the two of us there. Yep. We start talking. I'm fully clothed. I have no intention, and I kind of let him know ahead of time. It's like, you can kind of do whatever you want, but I'm not planning on getting naked. But we get there, and within for less than 5 minutes, I'm there. I have my tablet with me. I'm talking. There's a dining room right up front, so I'm like, oh, this is very nice. And what have you done? And upgrades and that sort of thing, the standard sort of stuff.
Yep.
And as in mid sentence, he's like, well, yeah, we upgraded the flooring and this and that. And would you mind if I got naked now? At that point, I just kind of shrugged and I was like, I guess do what you want, man. It's your house.
Okay.
And dropped his shorts, took off his shirt, and little freckly redheaded dude walking around his house.
And you continue with the rest of the meeting.
And just continue on like nothing's happening, and just kind of be like, oh, okay. I mean, this is the sort of backstory is that I actually did some work at a trailer park or modular home park.
Yep.
It used to be a nudist resort, a naturist resort, and new owners had converted it, and they what they refer to as going textile. And so a lot of the people who lived there when it was a nudist resort didn't want to live there anymore. So that we ended up, a friend of mine who ended up listing a whole bunch of the properties there asked me to help her out. So I had some experience.
Okay, so let's recap here. So you had this person asked you to go and talk about selling his property.
Yeah.
He disclosed in advance he's a naturist, so there was the likelihood that he would be clothes free during your meeting.
Yep.
You went there. That moment happened. This has never happened to me, by the way. This is very odd.
Never happened to me before then either.
Okay. So what our listeners might want to know right now is, did you get the listing?
No.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think it had anything to do with that, though. Like, we walked through the whole property. Sometimes, I tried to get ahead of him and go up the stairs first, but occasionally he
you
would
had
win
no
that
choice.
Race. Yeah,
Okay.
he would win that race, and I'm like, okay. And we went through the entire property like a regular listing appointment. I gave him a ballpark idea what I thought pricing wise, and I think that's kind of where the difference was.
Okay.
Because he did end up listing with somebody else at a higher price, but ended up selling for the price I recommended.
Oh, okay. So did you know the agent that he ended up choosing?
Yeah, from my brokerage.
And did you talk to the agent and say, hey, by the way, did you? Yeah.
We waited. We ended up, like I said, the funny part of the story was about maybe 3 months later.
Yeah.
We were in the office. I was walking into my office, and somebody else was kind of telling a similar story, at least about being contacted. And then we all started talking, and there's about 3 or 4 of us. We all started talking. It's like, yeah, I know that guy. But then I told him I actually went.
Okay.
But then the other fellow who got the listing, he did end up selling it and stuff.
Yeah.
So we were always kind of poking fun at him without really telling him why.
Yeah.
And finally we revealed, it's like, so did this happen? And he's like, no, he never asked me that. But I think when I finished talking to him, we left it at, even at the end of the appointment, he had asked me, have you changed your mind? Would you consider even now getting naked for whatever?
Yeah.
And I explained it to him, and I said, that's kind of your thing. That's what you want to do. If I showed up and you were of a different religion than I was, like if you're Islamic or Jewish or something like that, and you felt the need to pray, I'd totally be okay with you doing that. I wouldn't necessarily participate because that's just not my thing. But if this is your thing, that's your thing, man. It's cool. I just don't do this when there's showings, hopefully.
Okay. I love that. Okay, well, I got to tell you, I have not heard this from anyone else yet. So I will remember this forever as the Tony Iacoviello story here. So
yeah, well, it's burned into my brain, so might as well be burned into yours.
All right. Well, hey, listen, before we let you go here, the other thing about you is you've got this thing about cats. So whenever you go into properties, like you got this cat. What's your cat thing?
I don't know. I don't hate cats. I'm not a cat fan. I have a dog.
Yeah.
I don't hate them though, but they're just not my thing. But for whatever reason, I just see cats everywhere I go, and it's become like an inside joke.
You're like the cat attractor.
Yeah, it become an inside joke to the point where I'll post on Facebook as a game almost. It'll be like, I've got 15 showings today, 15 properties I have to go see. How many cats do you think I'm going to see? And people will start guessing. Yeah. And legitimately, I'll show, like, in a day, if I showed 6 properties, I might see 8 or 9 cats. Like it's just
is that a Hamilton thing?
I guess. I don't know. I've had them jump on me. Most of them are pretty nice.
Right.
They like me more than I like them, for sure.
Well, hey,
But,
listen, we're going to be talking to Ray Estrella in Richmond because he's got the cat story as well.
well,
There's
there you
lots
go.
of cat stories out there. And
yes, people seem to love them. Some
exactly.
toxoplasmosis happening.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us, Tony. And like I said, the naked listing appointment, yeah, that's one for the record books right there.
Awesome. Thanks, Tony.
All right. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tony Joe, and this is the Whole Home Show. Today, I'm taking you on a cross-country tour to hear real-life stories from agents. Let's get right back to it. So next up, we have Kristy Masaro. She is with Royal LePage Wolstencroft. You're in the Vancouver area. Kristy, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
So you've got a story to tell us, and it's got some profanity in it, right? So
I will tailor it accordingly.
Okay, all right. So tell us the story. Tell us exactly what happened.
My main demographic is first responders, and
okay.
When I go meet with them, you know, they have different personalities. Sometimes they're very serious. Sometimes, you know, they're always very polite, and they're very detail oriented. So I got a phone call from actually a past client, one that I had helped before, and they said, "Hey, come on up. Like, let me know what you think. Like, we want to list the place, bring all the forms, let's fill them all out, let's get it all done." So I said, sure, no problem. And of course I met this guy downstairs in the elevator, and he's just very quiet and polite and just very calm. And so I thought, okay, you know, hopefully he likes me, because he doesn't really give you anything to work with.
Yep.
And then I met his wife, and his wife was like Kitty from that 70s show.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so she had like the laugh, and she jokes, and she's like friendly and outgoing, like a polar opposite. It's really common.
Yep.
So we sat down, and partway through the appointment, we're in this little tiny micro condo. It was very, very small. There was hardly enough room for us to sit around this little table.
Yeah, so you're talking one of these like 400, 500 square foot kind of things,
yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah, very tiny. And they literally had to pull their kitchen table out from the counter so that we could all sit around it. And I've got my forms in front of me, and I know that this guy's got to go to work. He's got a night shift. So I literally had my papers out, and I wanted to go through the property disclosure statement with them, and I asked them, you know, are there any problems with the heating or cooling system? And they both go no. And then she goes, well, wait a second, like, there's a fireplace, you know, I don't know if the fireplace is working or not. So I said, well, I don't want to proceed unless we check it out. Do you mind if turning it on for me?
Okay.
So I'm looking at the wife, and out of the corner of my eye, when they get up to get the fireplace on.
In this tiny little condo.
Yep. And he's a pretty tall, skinny guy, and he flies upside down in his chair, and all I see out of the corner of my mind is like this whooshing, and
Yep.
his legs are now up in the air, and there's only 3 of us in there, and he's really serious, and I don't want to laugh, but like I want to laugh.
Yeah.
But
it's one of those moments where you're just you don't know what to do. Right?
No, I didn't know what to do. I just tried to keep it so calm, and we were like, you know what? He's probably so embarrassed, and I didn't want to point it out.
So you pretend like nothing happened.
I was just like rolling through it, like it was gonna be totally fine. And the wife was like, "Oh, are you okay?" And you know, he's like, "Yeah, I don't know what happened there." And I was just like, he flew upside down. So I'm trying to be calm, and they show me the fireplace, and we're all totally like blowing past it, and we sit down, and she starts to laugh a little bit, and she's got that high pitch, like like I said, from Kitty from the 70s show. So she's like, ha ha ha, are you okay? Ha ha ha, that was funny. And he's like obviously
serious.
Yeah. And I'm dying because like I want to laugh. It was so funny, and the pain in my throat from not laughing was excruciating.
Because you're holding it back.
So eventually she goes, Kristy, do you want a glass of water? And I'm sitting there like my eyes are tearing because my head is forward and they're tearing. I can't even read my paperwork because it's blurred now because of the pain and
the pain.
And trying not to smile, but it's so hard. It was like excruciating, really. And she turns to him and goes, "Do you want anything like a seatbelt?" And that was it. I laughed so hard. Okay. I couldn't even hold it in. Like that was it. Yes. It was gone. I lost complete control.
Okay.
I had to get tissue from the bathroom because mascara was running down my face. Like she was laughing, and the worst part was like he wasn't really laughing at all, and it was horrible. But like I could not believe.
I love it. Now, mind you, that's the edited version, because what she really said though is, "Do you want a bleeping seatbelt?" Right?
Yeah, she's like, "Can I get you a bleeping seatbelt?" And it was such a calm, like we're trying to keep it so calm, and she just let that fly, and that was it. And the poor guy, and he didn't really laugh, and that was the part that was the worst, because I'm trying to keep it so under control, and I laughed, honestly, I laughed, and then I put it down, buckled it under, and then honestly, the building wasn't in a great area. And when I was walking out to my car, I kind of let myself laugh again. And I looked like a crazy person walking out to my car, laughing my head off. But
my goodness.
Yes.
This is the dangers of keeping that laughter in, right? You can hurt yourself.
I couldn't even read my paperwork, and I was trying to so my stomach. I swear I got a 6-pack that day just from trying to hold it in.
So the question is, did they end up moving forward? Yes,
they're so loyal, and I already had the job, like,
okay.
You know, and he did actually make a joke about it, like months down the road, so it was funny again for him. But at the time, like, oh my God.
I love it. Yeah, that's some good ab work out there, and you know, it's good when our clients give us a good laugh, eh?
Yeah, I don't think I've laughed that hard in an appointment before.
May never happen again.
No, it was excruciating.
Thanks for joining us. Kristy Masaro from LePage, Wolstencroft in Vancouver. Great story. Love it.
Bye.
Yeah. So now we have with us a fellow Victorian from LePage here in Victoria. It's Mike Smith. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me, Tony.
Okay, so your story is one of these things that can happen to any realtor in day-to-day sort of occurrences, right? So tell us, what exactly happened?
Yeah, so this was actually pretty recently.
Okay.
In Victoria here, we have a few different float home marinas, and this is basically where everything went down.
A float home.
There was some listing realtors that were taking care of a float home listing, and I was basically helping out the agents at my office. So obviously in BC, can't represent both buyer and seller basically now, dual agency issues. So they were gladly passing on some clients that wanted to view the property. So I'd be able to take them through on time and time again. So these were some new clients basically from up island. Typically we like to sit down and try to get to know individuals before we go through some listings. But again, because these were individuals that weren't in Victoria, didn't have a chance to meet at the office. And in turn, we basically met right at the float home. So first opportunity meeting them, had a good discussion on the phone before.
You don't really know these people?
Exactly. Other than, you know, your regular kind of 10, 15-minute conversation, why they want to see the float home, and what times, et cetera, and why they're looking down in Victoria. Yep. That kind of basic stuff. Otherwise, it was basically the first opportunity to meet. So they got to the float home a little bit earlier than I did. So met them there. We had a great opportunity to kind of meet. And basically how this marina is set up in Escarpment is we have our lock boxes that helps us get into properties. There is a gate in and out of the marina, actually 2 doors.
And it needs a combination code or something, or a key, right?
Yeah, so basically on this one, it is a key through the lock box. So we're able to get that and get into the marina that way. Okay. Once into the marina, there's about 20 float homes there, okay? So we were able to get into the actual float home. We had a chance to walk around inside, obviously check everything out. And basically where everything kind of changed is when...
Okay, good. So far the showing's going well. So you're showing the place, everything's good.
Everything so far, very, very good.
Okay.
A chance to build rapport, really, really great couple. And it's such a unique float home as well. It's a really cool opportunity to show some of those because we only have so many in Victoria.
Yeah. But then something happened.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So again, everybody's different about when they want to shut doors and everything like that. But basically we had an opportunity where we went outside, had a look at the, you know, exterior of the float home itself, had a look at how it's sitting on the water and everything like that. And when we went outside, I had left the keys on the counter for the float home, knowing full well we were going to go back in because I wanted to discuss some other points.
Yep.
The wife ended up closing the door to the float home itself before I had a chance to get the keys out.
Okay.
So not sure why she closed it, just force of habit for most people. But nonetheless, the door automatically locks. So
the keys are in the lockbox are locked into the float home.
Exactly. And those are the keys for the float home, but they're also the keys to get out of the marina. So all of a sudden, I kind of realized that right away. that I had left the keys on the counter there. And again, still first time meeting these clients, trying to play it off a little bit. So, you know, we had to look at the outside. I'm still knowing that we'd locked the keys in there and everything like that. And they, you know, said thank you for the time and everything. And they were going to go think everything over. So I started walking them out to the door to leave the marina.
Yep.
Then at that point, basically, as we're trying to get out, I, you know, realized exactly what I had thought, that we were locked into the marina because it locks the door as well. So we're kind of stranded there. And again, trying to be calm, build rapport, act cool about the whole situation. But basically, we're just trapped in there. So then I proceeded the next 20 minutes, half an hour, again, trying to still be calm, going around knocking on all the other doors to the float homes, try to find somebody home to then get the keys and basically free these clients.
So these people that you don't really know well at all, because you just had a initial conversation with them, and you're kind of with them for half an hour because you're stuck.
Exactly. And you know, there's you can definitely have conversations through the whole experience and kind of play it off like a funny time and how odd this is and how this never really happens, because it doesn't. But it was a little bit awkward, to say the least. Especially when you're trying to, again, get to know people and whatnot. So eventually we did find a very nice lady who,
half an hour later.
Yeah, exactly. Spoke very highly of the marina and everything like that. Yeah. And she was able to get us out of there. And then the owners for the actual float home had another set of keys, just like they normally do. These were secondary keys for the lockbox. So everything worked itself out.
Now, did they buy it?
They did not buy this one, however, though we are still on the search for the right one. It was funny. So after that experience, I was also meeting up with a friend at Spinnaker's right around the corner. And right as we sat down, these clients then came up the stairs as well. So we had another kind of awkward kind of encounter and everything like that right after. But yeah, it's a, you know, it's a brief experience, but it's a funny one because it's not something that we normally see. Years in real estate, I haven't had that come up before. And it's just one of those things that's forever changing, then trying to kind of play it off a little bit.
That's one you won't soon forget. I got to tell you, so just at a sort of addendum to your story there, we've had cases where realtors have been in condo buildings, and instead of the elevator, they want to use the stairwell. But you know, some stairwells lock.
Yes.
So they're stuck. They're locked in the stairwell, and they can't get out until somebody else shows up. And it's even worse in a steel and concrete building where there's no cell service, so they can't even call to get help. So
definitely, there was actually when I got started in real estate, I heard a story. There was another realtor from my office that got he was doing a showing. His phone was almost dead, and we open our lock boxes via Bluetooth from our phones for the most part. And he was charging his phone in the house, left the keys on the counter, and then closed the door. And couldn't basically get back in at all. He had no cell phone, no anything, everything like that. And I think that was one of the first times he was out with his clients as well. So it does happen. It's just a funny one to kind of go through.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us, Mike. Great story. Happens a lot. Thanks.
Sounds good. You take care.
Thanks for coming back to the Whole Home Show. Let's jump into yet more stories about real estate. So we're moving over now to Richmond, British Columbia. My friend Ray Estrella over at Sutton Group. So Ray, you know, pets are a funny thing. Us realtors, we need to deal with pets on a regular basis. Now, you've got a bit of a pet story to tell us.
I do. This was about 5 years ago. With these certain clients, as I actually took them, because we actually had to drive an hour and a half from the mainland to go to Squamish. Right. We chose to do it on Fridays, which is pretty much the day that all the realtors are just hanging out. But that's all cool. We've already done a couple of weeks worth of showings. We understand the drill. And we decided to check out a tenanted house. Right. And the realtor, the one thing that the realtor, he was talking to us, said, not a problem. Just pick up the keys to my office, which is about 3 minutes away. Not a problem.
Pretty standard.
He did not tell us about a cat or anything like that. So what happened was that we opened the door and cat comes out. Right? The cat
like lightning
comes out. Lightning fast, right? Like it knew that we were at the door. And we opened the door, right?
There's no signs. You knew nothing.
We knew nothing, right? So it was let's see, it was my client and his wife. At that time they had a very small child at the time, right? And we didn't know what to do. Right, because what it did was, this was a large lot, so it was it ran underneath a bush. Right, and right underneath Beth, and it's like, okay, you know what? You can check out the house while I try to get the cat back into the house, right?
Okay.
So I spent about 10 minutes going to the bush. The moment I got to the bush, it ran underneath the car.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Then I ran to the car, it went underneath the bush.
This is a cat that's not cooperating.
This is not cooperating whatsoever,
okay.
right?
Okay.
And this cat is just going back and forth for about 10 minutes, right? Okay. And I don't really know how to handle I don't really know how to handle pets, really. But
you're not a pet person.
Really, it's not a familiar territory for me for when it comes to a cat, right?
Okay. All right.
So we've been doing this for about 10 minutes. My client actually does have a time strain because he does have to get back to Burnaby for work. So that's another.
Oh, yeah. So
drive.
And you drove together. So you're in the same car.
We drove in this time. We actually drove separate cars.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So
but
your client
still, you know what? We're trying to check out. You know, not the regular 3 or 4 properties at a time. We're trying to check out 10 properties at a time because we have to travel.
So you got no time, and the cat is a complication here.
Yes, and you know, we've been chasing this cat for about 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And my client says, you know what, this is not worth your time. Just blame it on me, right? So I took one last ditch effort to get this cat back, right? Okay. Now the location of this house was actually right across the street from school. It was already lunch hour. Right.
Okay.
So I start going to the car and I said, F this, you cat are coming with me. So I start beelining to the car where the cat was, and you hear this, wow, just absolutely loud. And to understand how loud it was, right, I looked across the street where the kids are. All the kids stopped because they had it was that loud. That's how loud the cat was.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And the cat jumps at me pretty much towards my neck level. Right, and just pounces right at me, right?
Attack cat. Oh, so you got attacked by a cat.
Well, I moved out of the way, right? So, but the thing is, this cat is flying at me, right? And I'm like, whoa! I just kind of duck out of the way, and then I noticed that about 5 feet behind me is my client's wife, right? It's like, oh my god, it's going for the wife, right?
Okay. Right.
So the thing is, the cat actually landed and then ended up running up the bush. And I'm like, you know what? Screw this, right? We're just leaving the cat as is. We're just going to lock up the house. And then, you know what? The thing is that cat was pretty much on the verge of attacking me after it made that huge squeal. Okay. Right.
Okay. So now what did you do? So we
locked up the doors, returned the keys.
Yep.
Right. And I called up the realtor. I believe the realtor at this time was actually at a course. Yep. Right. But he didn't answer the phone. Right. I should have left a message. Right. But at the same time, I got a call, you know, with the schedule I was dealing with, I got a call about maybe 5-6 hours later. Right. And I knew it was the realtor. So I actually let it go straight to voicemail. Yep. Right.
Because you're kind of concerned. It's like, you know, what happened to the cat? Because we generally have rules about, you know, you leave the pets in if you see them in, or out if you see them out. But this was a difficult one. Yeah.
This was especially after the fact that, you know, pretty much it was violent with us. Yeah. Right. Okay. So what we did, I got a call from the realtor. He left a voicemail. I checked out the voicemail, and it was just him just going on. It's like, the tenant just called me and noticed the cat was missing. It's like, where the hell's the cat? It's like, just going on and on for about a good full 3 minutes. Okay. Right. Yep. And it's like, you know what? I knew the exact thing that I was going to be telling if I was actually going to talk to this realtor over here. So I ended up getting a call from the realtor about, let's say, 1 hour after that initial call, right? Yep. Yep. And you know that sound that somebody's going to be giving you an earful, yep. Right? Yeah. It's like, so pretty much like, right, and then he makes that big gasp like he's going to yell. I go, your cat attacked my client, and he just shut up. Okay. Right? It's like, really? It's like, yeah. It's like, is your client okay? It's like, it was a little bit of a gray area. I didn't want to say it attacked me, but it was still running towards my client like something was going to be happening. So I wasn't necessarily lying, but it sounded a lot worse. Yeah. So this realtor, after gasping, about to give me an earful, he just completely calmed down. I was like, oh, well, we're really, really, really sorry about that. It's not even the owner's cat; it's the tenant's cat. Yeah. Right. So now the realtor feels that he's in a little bit of deep water in this situation over here, because if my client was hurt or anything like that, that there would be, you know, some sort of something that would be going back to him. Yeah. Exactly,
you know what?
Right?
It's a reminder. So we realtors, we need to deal with pets every once in a while. Mm-hmm. Not all pets are good and friendly. You know, of course, when we have listings for sale, we want to make sure that pets are safe. You put signage up. You let realtors know you weren't informed and consequently you bumped into attack cat. Attack cats are crazy. They can be crazy.
It is. Yeah. So pretty much at the end of the whole thing, that's pretty much the only thing I said to the realtor. Like, and then he said, you know what, I'll deal with it. I'm really sorry about that. Right. So pretty much I believe the cat was missing for a couple more hours after that. So he actually had to go back to the property and start looking for the cat.
Cat had issues. Cat had issues.
Yes. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Ray. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks for coming back to the Whole Home Show. Let's jump into yet more stories about real estate. So next we have another fellow Victorian from my office, from RE/MAX Camosun, my good friend Deedrie Ballard. Deedrie, how are you?
I'm well, thanks, Tony.
Well, you know what? You have stories to tell. There are several of them. We don't even know where to begin. I'm going to start off by saying it seems like interesting things happen to you.
Yes. So I've been in the business for, how long have you been in? You're
29. Yeah, we're about the same time.
Years.
Yeah.
Sure. So I was a brand new realtor, and I had a partner at a company it was actually called RE/MAX Ports West at that time.
It's not around anymore. Yeah.
Not around anymore, but we were, I was in that company. I had a partner. And
also a friend of mine.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
And so we had this new listing, which was sitting on the corner of Johnson and Chambers in Victoria.
Yes.
And
which we will call inner city, kind of, right?
Inner city, yes.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
And Gail and I called it our little shitter listing, and because that's kind of what it was.
Okay.
It needed everything done to it, but it was going to be a good little fixer-upper for somebody or a developer or anybody to fix it up. So that we were having our our Thursday morning office meeting, and Gail said,
actually, but before you continue, Deedrie, we have to mention the thing about RE/MAX Ports West is it was kind of like the high end. So it was a like fancy listings, right?
Fancy listings and fancy people.
That's right. So this
they used to call us Hollywood North.
The Hollywood, yes. Okay, so now, and you're talking about a starter home, something a little more modest, if you will, right?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Gail says, "Oh, you go ahead and take them through," and I said, "Oh, okay." So now I had not been to this home. It was somebody Gail had brought to us. Mm-hmm. So we all get in our cars, and there's like 20 of us. So we stop at this house, and I'm thinking, whatever. So we go up, I knock on the door, and knock on the door, and knock on the door. Finally, the door opens, and this individual is standing there and looking like he is just waking up. Okay. And he says, I said, we have a tour this morning.
Bringing realtors through.
20 people behind me. And he says, yeah, sure, come on in. And I said, okay. And so we walked in. Yeah. And as we walk in, there are people laying everywhere. Okay. In many different positions, some on top of blankets, under blankets, mattresses everywhere. Okay. We walk through, there are various articles of clothing and other things hanging from the dining room chandelier.
Okay.
We walk through pretty quickly. And as we go through the back of the house where the kitchen is, there's a huge parrot in there. Yeah. And as we go through and go out the back door, he yells, what am I going to say, Tui?
Okay, we can edit. We can try to bleep this out.
Okay, good. Okay,
all right. Yeah.
As everybody goes by, the parrot yells, "Fuck you! Fuck you!"
Okay. Okay. All right.
And oh my God, I thought, Gail, just because I'm a rookie, you made me do that, didn't you? And she says, "Well, what was I going to do?"
So you got a group of realtors from what was then Victoria's premier real estate office going through this. And sorry, what day of the week was this? Was it a Thursday?
Thursday morning.
So in other words, it wasn't like a weekend. Wednesday night was a big night for these guys in this house.
Oh yeah, obviously it was probably Welfare Wednesday or something.
Okay. Well, hey, good start for you in the real estate business.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. You have another story about this property and furniture and cars and stuff like that.
Oh my goodness, that was a very high-end listing, and that was
okay.
through a friend of mine, or through a client of mine that I knew was coming up from California, from San Francisco.
Okay.
These people, I had waltzed them around different properties. Now, one of the things that was they were absolutely adamant about is that they needed and had to get their daughter into St. Michael's University School. Mm-hmm. And in those days, there was a huge wait to get these kids in. Yep. So I said, I probably can help you out with that. So I contacted a friend of mine who was involved with the school, very involved with the school. And they subsequently, God, I could get thrown in jail for this kind of stuff.
Okay, well, anyways, they got in.
They got in.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, so next was we wrote an offer on a house in the Uplands. Okay. Beautiful home. Yep. It was rented to a couple, and anyway, we go into this house, and we're doing. There's the inspector there, and she brings this box of, they're called lead check sticks. I still have the box of lead check sticks.
What are these?
At lead check sticks to see if there's lead paint in the.
Oh, okay.
Because in those days, and and certainly people from California were absolutely adamant there should not be lead in the paint.
So they were checking to see if there was lead in the paint.
She broke the stick in half, and she started running it all over the walls, at which point there's green marks all over wherever. And because if
damage the house.
Yes. So if there's lead in the paint, it would turn green. So now there's these lead marks all over this house. And I'm going, oh, no, please don't do that. Please don't do that. She says, well, here they are. You'll need them in the future. We can't buy this house. Our daughter will die.
Okay.
So out she goes. I said, I can't go through with the deal. Now there was a $50,000 deposit on the house, which in those days was more like $200,000 a day. Yeah. She says, we'll forego it. So they forego their $50,000 deposit. I didn't get paid.
Okay.
The selling realtor didn't get paid.
But then, so they had kind of damaged this house by marking the walls.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now, these people that are renting are leaving the country. But they have all this beautiful furniture. So they said, do you want to buy anything? And I said, sure. And so I picked out 3 pieces of furniture, which I paid before, like cash, $3,150.
You gave them this money. You gave them this money. Okay. Yeah, Okay.
And so I'm going to get this lovely furniture. And 2 days later, I get a phone call. Well, I'm talking to the selling realtor. Yeah. And she says to me, did you know they did a midnight move last night? I said, what?
Okay.
Anyway, so what happened?
So then you're wondering about the furniture because you paid this money and you want to know when you're getting your furniture, right?
The house is empty.
Okay.
So then I get a call 2 days later saying, we understand you bought some of this furniture. Do you have it? And I said, no. She said,
who was calling?
Jordan's Furniture.
Jordan's Furniture. Oh, interesting. Okay.
And they said, well, unfortunately, all that furniture was leased from us.
So these people took money from you.
Yeah. And left town with all the furniture.
That they didn't even own.
That they didn't own.
Okay.
And now it was it was well organized because by now it's on a barge to Lyon, France.
Okay. Now, but they also had cars too, right?
Well, he was selling cars, and he had a company here in Victoria, and I can't quite remember the name of it. Okay. However, he sold all his cars to 3 Point Motors.
3 Point Motors, yeah.
And he'd been in business here for 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
So then I get a call because I had Mercedes myself. So I get a call from the owner of 3 Point Motors, and he said, Deedrie, I hear you're involved in this whole thing. I bought all the cars because I thought he was a really honorable guy, and all these cars. He took the cars from a company in Vancouver.
Oh, he didn't even own the cars, and he sold them to 3 Point.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, and I had been in the business probably 6 months by that time.
Oh yeah, good start to the business, Deedrie.
It was great, yeah. And then the clients dumped me.
Oh. Well, these are the pains that happen when we're in the real estate business, right?
Absolutely. So I had a good indoctrination there.
You did. Hey, there was one where we at Remax Camosun, we had a open house at a new development on Fiskard, which is by Chinatown, called The Fizz. You and Mark Lawless were handling this, right?
We did.
Okay.
So we decided we would, and we had, the developer was building it, and so we decided we would have an open house. So we had sushi and martinis.
Yeah, it was a show. Basically, it was like it was sitting in the parking lot, and it was a show home. It was completely built out. It was beautiful, right?
But there was no plumbing to it. And all there was like fixtures, sink, kitchen, there was a fridge because that's where we kept our martini, our vodka, and our, our sushi.
We don't do that nowadays. This is like 20, this is 20 years. Okay. All right. Right. Okay.
Anyway, so we had our sushi and martini party.
Yep.
And everybody left, and I went into the bathroom, and somebody had actually used the
toilet.
Facilities.
Okay.
So I go through all the list of everybody that had been there, and I emailed everybody and said, "Hey, everybody, somebody used the bathroom."
Yeah. Okay. It's just reminding the listeners here that toilet isn't even, because there's no plumbing. All it's doing is it's sitting on the ground, just the same as if it was like at Home Depot or something, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And somebody used it.
It's a show toilet.
Okay.
So anyway, I emailed everybody. I said, hopefully whoever did this will have it all cleaned out by tomorrow. Lock boxes on the back door.
Okay.
So next day, I get, Mark and I get an email.
We'll leave him unnamed. We'll leave that person unnamed, yes.
And he has actually gone out to his boat and got a bilge pump and come in and cleaned out the toilet, and it's like brand new.
Okay.
And we were very thankful for that, but it was a funny story.
Hey, let that be a lesson
and
to
I
those.
didn't have to do it.
let this be a lesson to those people with show homes. If you have a toilet that's not plugged into the ground, you gotta wrap it with, like, the.
It was wrapped.
It was wrapped.
Yes.
Oh, maybe he was. It was urgent.
It was very urgent.
Okay.
Most everybody went outside the back door. I don't know why he had to go in there.
Yeah, that was a great story. Okay, like I said, his name will remain unnamed. He is an awesome guy. We love him to bits. And he was probably very embarrassed about that.
He totally was. He would never do that in a million years.
Yeah.
We laugh at him today.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us, Deedrie. Oh, so many good stories about real estate. There's no shortage.
Pleasure.
All right. Thanks again for joining us today. Hope you've enjoyed these stories and have had some good chuckles. I'll be here for you this time next week.